All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back. And this evening, it is an absolute honor, ladies and gentlemen, to sit down with the legend, Misti Hurst, up in the house. Misty, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Listen, it's an absolute honor to have you on. I just want to kick off with this, man. Let's just go ahead and deep dive into that book you got coming out. It's actually now on
Okay.
Kickstarter, everybody. So I need you to go to Kickstarter. I will put in the link after the podcast down below so you guys and girls can go and sign up. So, Misty, talk us through the book, how all this come together, and all the good stuff
So,
in between.
boy, that's an open-ended question. Basically, I have my first book coming out. It's called Life in the Fast Lane. There'll be a whole series under that name, and the first book is Discovering the Art of Cornering, and it's basically my story of how I got into riding, how I found the Superbike school, how I became a coach, which then propelled me to becoming a racer, and basically I just had all this information that I wanted to share. And when I put it together, I was actually holding a manuscript, and I thought, all right, it's go time. Let's get this out. So yeah, it's up on Kickstarter right now, 5 days to go to back the project, which means then I can pay for publishing, pay for editing, get it into the hands of people, and then ideally start working on the next couple issues. So I'm really excited.
I love it. So, how did this whole book idea come up in your mind, or was it just something one day, just you had all this information and you was like, you know what? Let me do a book about this.
So I've been writing for a couple motorcycle magazines for, 18, 19 years now. And I was going through an old journal of mine where I had a list of goals of mine. You know, I was about 18 and I hadn't gotten on a motorcycle yet, by the way. And one of the goals was to get my motorcycle license. Actually, I don't even think that was in there. I had all these other goals, and one of the goals was to author a book and become a published author. And I have quite a big birthday coming up in January. I'm not going to date myself. You'll figure it out. Sure. I'm
19
sure,
years
but
old. You're going to be
yeah,
19,
19.
Misty. Yeah, let's go.
Uh, and it was just this sort of kick in the ass going like, okay, it's go time. Like I've had this goal and I have content. And so I just started gathering all the old articles I've written and putting them in sort of categories. And like I said, suddenly I was sitting there with like 4 piles of work going, I actually have enough for 4 editions. And I think it would make a great series. And I got the name from the long-standing column I've been writing for a magazine in Canada called Motorcycle Mojo magazine. And they've titled my column Life in the Fast Lane. And pretty much have been doing almost a column a month for 18, 19 years. So there's a lot of stories.
Hence, that's why I named this episode, yeah, Life in the Fast Lane, by
Right on.
Misty Hurst. So yeah, it's amazing. Your whole career, which we'll get into, has been an absolute amazing career, Misty. You've opened up the eyes to a lot of people in the sport, but more so obviously to all the women in the sport too, as well, which is very important to have in this sport, not only in road racing but car racing and all that good stuff. It's truly an honor to be able to sit down with you tonight and have this conversation. You have
Yeah.
no idea. I'm telling you, I've been huge fan. Anyway, so listen, super proud of your book coming out. I cannot wait. I'm definitely going to go on Kickstarter. I'm going to do the donation. I'm going to help you out because I love helping all my friends out in the sport. And I would love to help out, a young kid too, because again, the future is the future legends of our sport, which are the kids that's coming up. If they don't have a chance to come up, where's our future at?
Right. Absolutely. And
So
so, yeah, on that note, like if you go on to Kickstarter, just to quickly explain it, because it's a little bit confusing, it's basically a crowdfunding platform, and there's different tiers that you can support. One of the tiers is a reward where you can basically $25 of the reward gets put aside, so I can then use that to coach some young kids, and I call it rider development. You get my ebook, but you also get an opportunity to enter into a draw to win a day with the California Superbike School USA. So not only are you supporting young kids getting training and encouraging them to get into the sport, but you also get a chance to win a day with the Superbike School, which, as you'll find out from my story, can be completely life-changing.
I guarantee it can, and then you working closely with Keith Code, I assume, right? Keith is an absolute legend. He had
Hmm.
to the Wrist 1 and 2, which I have, right? It's amazing.
Yep.
Man, I can't wait for your book. One question I did have you on this book is it going to be out in audio form too, maybe in the future?
Well, that's one of the goals. So basically, I have my main goal, which will cover the cost of actually getting it printed, and then I have some stretch goals. So ideally, if we get to those stretch goals, which is sort of past my goal amount, then yes, that is in the works, and I know a lot of people have asked for it. So I will do my best to get that running, but it's just a matter of finding the time and figuring out how to pay for it all.
Listen, we are all here to support you. We will make that happen and realize your dreams. Okay. I'm gonna push this
Sweet.
book, this Kickstarter out for you to make it happen. I'm a huge
Amazing.
audiobook listener too. I when I read books, it's more like my motorcycle manuals when I'm in the garage. I'm cool with that. But I feel like the younger we get, Misty, in life, right? The younger, look, confetti, there we go, right?
What? How is there confetti?
I don't know. This thing right here, I know it'll do this. So it's nothing but love. There you go. Boom,
Oh,
let's go, right? Man, train of thought just lost from the confetti. But me, audiobooks, I like to listen to audiobooks because I drive to a lot of the races and a lot of local events. And when I'm at work, it gives me something to listen to other than podcasts. I feel like the younger I get, if I sit in bed and I crack open a book 10 minutes later, yeah, I'm drooling on myself. I'm out, right? So I find that audiobook, plus I got ADHD and I don't take any medicine. So it keeps me focused here, having it right here versus me sitting down reading it, because I'm the type of guy that'll mean you'll go watch a TV show or to the movies and we'll be 30 minutes in it and I'm like, what the hell's going on, Misty? I have no idea what's going on. They're like, dude, you're watching the movie with me. I'm like, I know, but it's here. It's
yeah.
so.
Well, don't ask me because I can't even sit still for that long usually. So I have the same issue, which is exactly why I think we gravitate towards motorcycle riding, because when I try to explain to people, especially ones that don't ride, and they say, "Oh, isn't it scary? Isn't it so fast?" And I said, "No, no, no, you don't understand. It is the opposite. It is the only time that my mind is quiet and clear, and all I'm focused on is the one thing in front of me. And it's almost like, Bocelli is playing in the background. It's just so calm."
Or Frank Sinatra, because I'm a big Sinatra fan too, right? So yeah,
Nice.
let's go. And you're right on that. I feel like this is the way I explained it to people. I feel like in life, when motorcycles choose us, it is a lifestyle. It consumes us. It's all we think about, because when we throw a leg on it, it's so calm here that when we're off of it, we try to chase that calmness here with motorcycles, right? Whether we think about it, we work on them, we're reading it, we're doing podcast or watching it or whatever it is. It's a way to keep us focused in between the chapters, if you will, right? But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And when you're in this beautiful circus, as I call it, Misty, you don't realize the family you're going to meet and the friends you're going to make in this beautiful industry. It's absolutely amazing, and it might be a couple of years. You sit back like you are now and be like, look at all these friends I have and this beautiful journey I've made. And I get to pass it along to my kids too, as well. And again, the grassroots racing. I love it, Misty. I
Right.
love it. I love it. And actually, we have a couple one question about the audio, the book. Are you gonna actually be reading the audio book? Is it gonna be your voice or is it gonna be a voiceover?
I don't know. I hate my voice so much. So the idea of me actually commentating the book is just terrifying. But I don't know. I'll get to that, hurdle when I get there. It's sort of how I do life. I just keep going and figure it out as I get there.
I love it.
We'll
Well,
see.
me personally, I'm a fan of when I listen to an audio book that the author, whoever it's on, actually reads the book themselves, because it connects at a level, because I'm not thinking, I wonder what he or she really sounds like, right? And the emotions that you're going to present by talking versus somebody else reading your script is going to be different. That emotion and that energy. So let's go, right? We have a couple comments already coming in. We got Owen Bartlett racing. He says, super excited to hear this. Love you both, man. Nothing but love to
thank
you
you.
guys.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Does it work if I do it?
It should.
Oh no, it says I have to add that or something. So you can do all the hearts for me.
Well, there you go. This is for Misty, you guys. There it is.
Thank you.
And then Owen says, I'm sure Chris would love to voice the audio book. Yeah, it'd be an
Mhm.
absolute honor to voice that. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
And then Jason Bartlett says, big fan of yours. Sadly, never got to see you
Aw,
race, but happy my son is getting exposed to you. Love you too, Chris. Let's go.
appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
You are well known, well loved, and well respected
I,
within the paddock out here in Moto America, Misty.
It's very funny because lots of stuff is coming out of the woodwork that I had no idea about. And, often I'm just in my own little world and don't really realize things. And so it's been really cool to have people reach out and to tell me stories of maybe how I inspired them or how I got them into riding. And I was going through some old emails and I found all sorts of really cool gems that I had completely forgotten about. And it just really makes my heart shine. So I'm stoked and yeah.
Love it. I
Thanks.
love it. Yeah. No, listen, it's an absolute honor. It really is, as fans, to have watched your AMA when you was racing and still to see you continue doing what you do and the emotions you give us and the positiveness. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So thank you, Misty.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, let's get into your story, Misty. Where did it all start
Okay.
for you on these beautiful two wheels?
Oh gosh. Well, it started late in life, so I didn't grow up riding motorcycles. I was 24 years old. I was at university. I was with a boyfriend who, out of the blue, decided to get a motorcycle, and I just naturally got on the back. Like at that time, we were just sort of meant to do, and I didn't really understand the appeal, and liked riding on the back, but didn't really get it until one day we were all, they all used to sort of pose and have all their bikes out in front of the ocean.
Everybody
And
posing,
everyone
like, strike a pose, baby. Yeah.
wearing all their fancy gear and stuff. And this woman rode up, and I was just in awe, as everybody else was. And, she was well known in the area, and she had a bunch of group of friends that were there, and she just rode in, and I just thought, like, what the heck, I want to be just like her. That's way cooler. And we just formed an instant friendship. And she had an old 1989 CBR 600, and she let me ride it, and I got my license. And then next thing you know, I bought the same bike as her, and I was fully addicted. And it was like every single day, all weekend, all, like, we just rode and rode and rode and rode and rode. And I just knew that that's, what I wanted, what I loved doing. I just loved everything about it. And then that's when I got it. Like, I really understood the joy and the enjoyment and the adventure and the freedom and all the things about riding. And yeah, it was fascinating, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I didn't take any lessons, and, I just naturally sort of figured it out, but also made a lot of errors and mistakes along the way. So,
As we all do.
right.
Yeah, as we all do, right? And then we'll never forget the first time we throw a leg over a motorcycle at whatever age it is, right? It could be later in life, it could be early in life. It's that film of freedom. I mean, you already talked about this, that where it clears this right here, right? And once you get on it, it just transforms your life, and that's all you want to do is throw your leg over that bike. It's like the first time you put on a leather suit, right? You feel like, I'm Superman, I'm invincible, let's go, I'm gonna drag knees everywhere. And then you never forget the first time you drug your knee, or the first
Yeah.
race win, or the first podium. It's all these very first we do in our sport. And I'm pretty sure it's in any sport too, whatever sport it is you choose you want to play. Those are the memories that if you would have never chose that path, you would never have those feelings
Right.
or that clearness right here, right?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. So your journey later on in life, finally got the motorcycle, two wheels, 1989.
Yep.
Yeah, CBR, let's go. So how did all
Yep.
that transform into, because back then there wasn't road racing world, you had to look in the back and see the ads for, track days, because it wasn't available like it is now, of course. So how did you get into
Yeah.
the whole track side of things?
So I got my license in 2000, and then, like, my road license. And then about a year later, a friend of mine who I used to ride on the street a lot was like, hey, let's go down to Seattle. My friend Oliver Jervis is racing. He still races. good friend of mine, and this was a friend, Scott Collins, who has a channel called the Adventure Cooperative, and he's super awesome. And he said, "Let's go down to Seattle and go to a motorcycle race." And I was like, "Oh, I don't really know what motorcycle racing is, and like, do you think it'll be fun? And it might be boring to watch, and I don't know if I really care about doing that." And then he's like, "Well, at lunchtime, you can take your bike on the track and you can do taste of racing. So we'll make sure that you get to do that. Will you go now?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's go on an adventure and ride down to Seattle." And I will never forget riding into the paddock at Seattle PIR, or whatever they call it now, Pacific, but it was always called Seattle International Raceway. And we rolled into the paddock, and it was just like the smell of race gas and the people and all the engine sounds and revving engines and people working on their bikes. And it was just all this activity. And then I saw the track for the first time, and just the speed at which everyone was going by. I was like, "Oh my God, this is insane." And, then at lunch, I got to take my bike out on track. And by then I'd upgraded to a 2001 Kawasaki ZX6R. And I rolled that out onto track, and it was as if I was racing for the first time. I was like, it was like follow the leader. We were going super slow, but I was like pretending I was knee down in the corner. And I was just like, this is the greatest thing ever. I know I can do this. I want to be a motorcycle racer. And I came back in, and my friends took one look at me, and they're like, "Uh-oh, we've seen that look before." And I was like, "Where do I sign up? I'm taking race school. I'm doing this. I am doing this." And that was it. That was the day the addiction was fully born for racing. And I got my race license through WMR, Washington Motorcycle Road Racing Association. And then a year later, exactly 1 year later, I won my first race back up in Canada on an SV 650. And it was just like, okay, go time. Like, this is so cool.
I love it. I love it. And then you can never dream where this path have taken you so far in life, right? The beautiful journey you've had. It's been incredible. Winning your first race, completely hooked on it now. Like, I'm all in. Did you catch any flack or a hard time being a woman in racing back then? Especially beating up all the men, right?
I mean, I used to have a little sticker that said something like, I can't remember now what it said. I've got to look that up. But yeah, some men didn't like that I was out there and getting beat by a girl. But in my perspective, and maybe I was just, oblivious to a lot of things, it didn't really come up a ton. I always fit in with the guys. I had a lot of male friends. And so I never really felt it so much. I mean, there was a few incidences, and there was a few people that for sure made it more obvious that they didn't think I belonged. But in general, the response was fairly good. And there was a couple other girls club racing with me, and so that was also pretty awesome as well, as to go, okay, well, I liked the exclusivity of sort of being one of the only few females out there, but it was also nice to see that there were other women out there, doing it. And I think we sort of gravitate to each other to really lift each other up and support each other, as much as we were very competitive against each other as well. 'Cause,
racing is racing, right? Yeah, for sure. What was saying all that, Misty, did you find it hard when you were competitive, super competitive, to have those friendships on the track versus behind the doors, behind the scenes, right? So when you get on the racetrack, the visor goes down, I'm a win, I don't care, let's go. And then when you get off the bike, you're friends again. Some of my friends that race, they can't do that. It's like, nope, everybody's an enemy. It's me. I'm a champion. I'm a win. But some of my friends can do it. They're like, yeah, once I get on there, you're my enemy, but when we come back off, let's throw some burgers and dogs on the grill and have fun.
Yeah.
Did you find that difficult for you?
No, it's like something changes when the visor goes down, and like you said, now it's go time, and I can tune all that out. I can be competitive, but I like to think that I'm a pretty nice, outgoing person, and I just want to be friends with everyone. And so, no, I didn't find any real issues with not maintaining friendships because of that.
Good.
And like you said, I mean, the people that I've met along the way, just I'm so thankful for what cool people are involved in the sport and how many cool people I've met since I first started.
It's been an honor and a beautiful journey for sure, right? And yeah, it's and those guys, they're only mad because you was beating them. That's all that is, right? That's it, right? Let's just be honest. So, and you deserve it, 110%. Yeah. So you showing up, obviously getting into club racing. What made you decide, hey,
Yeah.
let's go AMA racing? Let's take it to the big boys.
Well, we skipped a whole section, which is a really key part of it. So
Okay.
in the early days when I was club racing I raced Seattle, Spokane, Portland, and then up in Canada, I crashed a lot. And, so I was only good-ish because I was just sort of an athletic person anyway. And I just picked up motorcycle riding and felt like that was my thing. But I really, truly had no idea of what I was doing on the bike. And surprisingly enough, not many people pushed rider training or even suggested getting rider training. It was like, oh, that's just part of racing. Oh, crashing is just part of racing. And it wasn't until, as I started getting more and more results that were better results, people started noticing, oh, there's a woman out there. And it was intriguing. And so I started getting some sponsors and people interested in my journey. And one of those sponsors literally gave me the best gift that anyone has ever given me in my life. And they sent me to the California Superbike School to do all 4 levels of the school. And so if anyone out there wants to support a racer in some manner, get them training, but get them a professional coach, send them to the California Superbike School or another riding school where they can learn the proper skills and understand that, yes, crashing is part of racing, but you can eliminate or reduce the chances by improving your riding skills. And that was just something I was completely uneducated about. I didn't have twist of the wrist. I'd never heard of Keith Code. I had no idea really what to do except for what people had shown me. And so then it was like this incredibly eye-opening experience to show up at the California Superbike School. I did level 1 and 2 at Laguna Seca, which was like a dream come true as well. And, I showed up there with, for sure, an ego, thinking I was pretty hot shit and that they were going to be, so impressed with how good this girl racer was. And no, they didn't care. And that wasn't impressive. And basically the second I got there, it was like, wow, I have been super humbled because I really don't know what I'm doing on this motorcycle. And I need to strip right down to be a good student, to get rid of that,
Bad habits.
attitude
Yeah.
and bad habits.
Yeah.
And I mean, I should send you some photos of, my day 1 on the track at Laguna, and my body position's all messed up and I'm sitting too close to the tank and I'm all just crossed up. And it was just an eye-opening experience. And I learned so much, which was immediately transferable the second I went back to racing, in my lap times, in my performance, in the reduced amount of crashes that I had, in my ability to know what I was doing and to understand the bike and the riding technology a lot better.
Oh, for sure. I'm a big advocate of proper coaching, right? I think one of the biggest downfalls of our sport is egos, especially with men, leaving our egos outside. We think we need the $40,000 V4Rs and all this. And you mentioned a 300. They're like, a 300. What are you talking about, dude? I'll outride that in 3 months. I'm like, nah, bro, absolutely not. Right? You need to. You need to slow down to go faster, but with saying that, you need to have the proper techniques. You need to get you proper coaching, whether it's California Superbike School or Corner Speed out here in Virginia, with Aaron Stevenson or whatever it is. You need that to understand the fundamentals of body position and trail brake and just everything that goes into it, right? It's
Yeah.
it's just like any sport. Misty, we watch Messi play soccer. You're like, I got that, no problem. You got to try to kick a ball. You're like, yeah, okay, yeah. There's techniques to this. There's baby steps you got to take to get there, right? So yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big advocate of proper coaching, because not only does it make you a better rider, it makes you safer for everybody around you. And if you choose to ride back on the street, it makes you better aware of your surroundings too, as well.
Yes.
So it's
Absolutely.
100%
Absolutely.
beneficial.
So trying to go back to, I was just stressing, trying to remember what the original question was, but I remember now. So how that translated into me eventually getting into AMA was, so after I took the first 2 levels of the California Superbike School and was introduced to their methodology, etc., I was on their newsletter list, and they sent out an email saying, they're always looking for coaches to join their team. And so I had gone down there thinking I would be selected to be a coach, no problem, and I'd like kill the selection process, and I'd make, and I wanted that job because I thought, was someone gets paid to coach motorcycle riding around the United States and like rides all these tracks? Cool, I want that job. And day 1 and 2, I realized, oh, these coaches are top notch, and it's not going to be that easy. And they looked at my riding and said, you're not quite there yet riding wise. We think you need another 6 to 12 months of racing experience. Maybe you should come back and reapply in 6 to 12 months. And I said, well, I'm coming back to do level 3 and 4 in 3 months at Streets of Willow. I'm going to go home. I'm going to practice all this stuff. I'm going to race. I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to pass that rider assessment when I come back. And that was my goal. And for sure, once I came back, then my riding was good enough that I could become a coach. And so that was in the end of 2003. And I was meant to immediately start my training in sort of 2003-ish. And unfortunately, then I had my biggest crash that I've had so far, knock on wood, which put me back quite a bit. I broke my collarbone really badly, and it just put me out. It was kind of winter in Canada, so I was out for the season and didn't get to go back to the school until 2004. And so during this time as well, I kind of ran out of money for racing. I was a little bit put back mentally as well from the crash, and wondering, how am I going to get back into racing like after such an awful crash, and my first big one. And ended up focusing a lot on just training, coaching, learning the skills, studying the manuals. Like, our training is very, very intense through the Superbike school. And I didn't really race much in those years. And it wasn't until, I think, mid 2005, I was in Alabama with a bunch of the Superbike school coaches, and Keith was there, and we'd had a busy day at one of the tracks, and we were all hanging out watching the races. And there was Jessica Zalewski was out there racing. And
Man,
I thought,
I ain't
like,
heard
oh my
that
gosh,
name. I ain't heard that name in
I
a
know,
long
right?
time. Yeah.
Well, that's and she was the first woman that I ever saw racing pro.
Yep.
And it stirred up some conversation, and some of the guys were sort of saying, like, why aren't there more women out there? And I said, whatever, kudos to her, like, that's awesome, like, I wish I could be out there, but like, there's no way. And then Keith looked at me, and he's like, you could be out there. We know the level of the riders, and you could definitely be out there. And I and then it was like that, that sort of goal hit me, like, oh my gosh, I could race. Me, let's go. And within, like, I don't know, it was like a week, Keith and I had sat down. We'd come up with sort of a plan. We reached out to Kawasaki USA. Next thing you know, I had a plan to go racing. Actually, it would have been a little bit later. It was 2006 maybe, because then I planned to race in 07, was my first year racing AMA. And it was just like, I mean, I showed up like the biggest novice ever with like a dead stock, brand new Kawasaki with 0 miles on it, like no aftermarket parts, at an AMA paddock at Sonoma, Sears Point, right? And like practically got laughed out of the paddock. Like people are like, "Are you kidding me? You're showing up like this, a total, you know, wannabe AMA racer." And there were some really nice people that let me pit next to them and let me borrow tools and help. I had Superbike school coaches helping me. I had people helping to mechanic for me, and I ended up beating out. I think there was about 60 of us trying for 44 spots on the grid that day, and I'll never forget being out on track with the AMA guys. You think you're fast until freaking Ben Bostrom goes flying by you, and you're like, oh my God, I have got to go way faster. I mean, I was slow, and I put all the Superbike school tech together, and I was calling Keith Code in a panic, going like, "I'm so slow. I'm never going to qualify. Like, I'm embarrassing myself. People think I shouldn't be here. What do I do?" And he's like, "Misty, you've got this. Put in the work." We broke it down to individually. Every time I went out, I worked on something specific, and then qualifying time came, and he said, "Go ride." And next thing you know, I made the last spot on the grid, my first time attempting to make an AMA race. And from that moment on, it was like, okay, you know what? I got in. And then every day, my goal was slightly better. Don't be last. Always make the grid. Move up one place. Okay, now move up more places, and slowly work my way up to whatever I think my best finish was 23rd, even though I was in 18th until I crashed out of my best race, and I will never forget that. But anyway, it was just a systematic thing, and nothing quite like making that first grid though.
It's just like putting on your first leather suit. You'll never forget it, right? It's like, I belong here. Like, I know I can do it. Now that self-confidence is right here, which is a huge step. When you make that step, right, mentally, you're like, going back to your first crash. You was talking about your big crash.
Mm-hmm.
We I love to talk about the mental side of racing because it's super important. How did you mentally? Because it's always hard, especially when you come back from a bad crash, broken leg, wrist, collarbone, whatever it is. You're laid up in the hospital, and you're like, man, this is tough, right? I hurt, I ache, I do this. So, how did you overcome that mental side to get back to where you are?
Well, I think it really helped. I didn't have a choice. I basically, the first time I got back on a bike was at Streets of Willow on a coach bike. And it was like, off you go. You're following this guy, and he's your training coach for the day, and you shadow him. And it was like, okay, let's go. And I didn't really have any choice. It was just, I just got back on the bike, and like I said, I sort of just one step forward, just keep walking. And I think I was occupied enough by all the other things I had to learn. I mean, I had to, follow someone who was coaching on track. I had to watch their hand signals. I had to learn the drills. I had to remember so many things. I had to work on my own observations. And I basically just didn't have time to think about my own riding whatsoever. And it's quite remarkable to sort of fall into that, the way the body just remembers how to do things, right? And it just became very automatic.
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
Muscle memory. You get back on it, and your head's. Was that an airplane that just went by?
Yeah, there's like jets going by, like whatever. I don't know what they're called, but my son likes watching them, and all these jets are going by. This is a real backdrop. I'm in the Gold Coast of Australia, so it's not fake, and I'm so privileged to be here. It's just like I can't even get over this view. I just sit on the balcony all day, all night, practically, just like, oh, this is so great.
That's hey, I'm jealous. 110% jealous. You know, Phillip Island's always been one of my favorite race circuits in the world. It's such a beautiful, amazing track. The layout, of course, I've never been there. I played on my PlayStation, right? It's absolutely amazing. You know, watching people like obviously everybody in the sport race there, but I'll never forget, especially watching Casey Stoner at Phillip Island was one of the most magical things you could ever see. And then, of course, in 2000, Aaron Gobert. I mean, yeah, Anthony Gobert, the Go Show won on the Bimoto. I think it was 2000, 2001. Can't remember, or two. Yeah, never forget it. It's such a magical place. And then Andrea Iannone, was it 2015 where he headbutted the Seagull, right? He come down, Lukey
Oh, geez.
Heights, yeah,
Yeah.
headbutted, and then the next race he had that AGV helmet with the Seagull, right? Seagull right here. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So going from, you know, this is a question I often ask my friends that go from club racing to what's now Moto America AMA. There's a big difference and a big step going from club racing, obviously, to Moto America. Did you find that transition difficult for you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, that I felt like I was going to get laughed or punted off of the track by people who were not very impressed that I was so far off the pace initially in practice. You know, I ended up sort of proving that I kind of belonged. They had strict rules of, you know, 110%, I think it was, for off the lead guy. And, you know, so that's not a huge margin. And, I mean, yeah, it was difficult, and I just really tried not to let it rattle me as much as it could have, I think. But that's where having good coaches and people like Keith Code and other California Superbike school coaches with me at the racetrack to say, whoop, hang on a sec, don't let all this extra noise disrupt what we know that you can do. And we just, you know, almost like trick the mind into focusing on other things. So I would go out and figure out what my specific reference points were. I would, you know, figure out a corner specifically that I was going to work on. I would talk through the coach on why I was struggling in one area of the track, and we would pinpoint the technique that I needed to do to solve that. And it was just really going back to, like, over and over again, the training. And I think that's really what helped suppress the nerves, suppress all the fears that I had. And just, you know, like, I think racers in general, we're just driven AF. We're just driven to go out there and succeed in whatever our goals were. And I made a goal that I was going to make that damn grid. And so I was going to do everything possible to make that damn grid.
You're an absolute legend, my friend. I'm just going to go on and say it. I know I told you before, but yeah, you know, going into especially club racing and going to Moto America, obviously the schedules are different. You have dirt time allotted slots for tire changes when you know, Dunlop, Pirelli, whatever it was back in the day, and just the whole time schedule of Moto America is just completely different than obviously club racing is more relaxed, laid back. But I also tell people, Misty, how important it is to have that core group of people in your corner at the racetrack to keep the rider focused here and not worried about all the other chaos that's going around, whether it's gossip, bike setup, whatever, right? It's super important to have those people.
Which you can do to a certain extent as a privateer, right? Because there was definitely challenges being a privateer. I mean, you know, you're talking about race budgets and tire changes and stuff. It was like I had one set of tires, you know, and it was like, okay, I qualified. Okay, stop using the tires because I still have to race on this set of tires. So don't use any more tires. And, you know, we'd see everyone else go and change their tires like 3 more times in the same qualifying session. And we just didn't have that opportunity as privateers. And so, you know, there's a lot of extra noise and a lot of extra other steps, right? Like, you know, I was lucky enough one year, the following year. So I only raced 2 years, AMA 07 and 08. And in 08, we had Jason Moriarty from Slednex join us, myself and my teammate, Josh Skelster, and filmed a documentary called Minor Details, which is hilarious. I've just gone back and rewatched it, and I'm posting small little clips on my Instagram. But it's just really refreshing my memory on what it was like to literally drive across the entire country by ourselves, in like this little van with no equipment, and show up and we're exhausted, and then we have to set up our tiny little pits all by ourselves, and then we're like, waiting for our turn because we weren't allowed in until certain time frames, and like walking past the factory guys who have all the air conditioned spaces and mechanics and like spotless pits, and we're like, where did that wrench go? Like, where's my whatever? And it was just, like, you just do what you have to do. You wake up in a minivan somewhere on the side of the road. You're like, okay, off we go. We got to get to the races. And like, I better drink some coffee because I got to ride in 4 hours. And like, pretty remarkable, some of the stuff that we had to go through. And this is the kind of stuff that's all going to end up in the next editions and series in my book. So like the first one talks about, getting into the Superbike school, becoming a coach, coaching wins. And then it goes through all of the techniques that we teach at the California Superbike School. So, things like throttle control and reference points and body position, and how to work through your visual skills so that you're plotting your line on the track, how to learn tracks fast. It's like part manual, but also part, memoir of how I implemented those, right? Which is a unique perspective, because not only am I teaching those same skills, but I had to go through them as a student first. And then I utilized those same exact skills on the racetrack to get me to the level of AMA. And I'm still utilizing those to improve my own riding. I mean, I just got to ride Phillip Island, and it's a freaking insane track. And, I get a video of my riding. I'm super stoked to get a video of my riding, but then I just rip it apart because I'm like, missed the apex there. Stupid line into that corner. This is so embarrassing. All my coach friends are going to like rip this apart too. But we all know that we can learn from that and make improvements in our own riding. So even to this day, I'm a forever student, because there's always room to learn and improve. And so that's the first book, covers that. And then later on editions are going to cover the stories of what was it like to drive a minivan across the country? What was it like to, one of the races I didn't make because it was the year Ben Bostrom blasted the record in one of the SuperSport races, and basically kicked me and about 7 other guys off of the grid because we just couldn't match that time. He was blistering fast. And what is that like to, spend all of your money and all of your budget just getting to the races, only to be shattered that you don't even get to race because you just missed the grid by this much? What was it like to show up at Daytona? I'd never ridden at Daytona before, and I showed up to race SuperSport and FX. Well, I couldn't race FX because I couldn't afford to send both my bikes. So I only had one bike. I went a week ahead of time to, Daytona. I've never ridden there before, to try a club race so I could learn the track, and blew up my motor on the banking on the freaking second session out. And I was like, now what? Now I don't have a motor. I didn't bring my spare bike. Races are in a week. I still don't know the track. How am I going to do this? And there's a whole incredible story about how we found a spare motor on wasn't even Marketplace then. It was like Craigslist or something. We found a spare motor. EDR Performance, who had my spare bike in Portland, dropped the motor from there. They shipped it out with all these handwritten notes on, go Misty, go, and we're cheering for you. And then I had to put it all together with the help of my, my now husband and Josh. And then basically I had one Team Hammer track day to learn the track and try to qualify for the grid the next day. And it was just like, how do you do that? Well, you go back and work on step by step. I was calling Keith Code, putting in all the work and figuring out how to learn a track super quick. And so I still implement those skills when I show up at a new track somewhere that I've never ridden, and I have to go out and coach someone who maybe they're maybe they're the novice race champion of their class. I have no idea. You never know who you're going to get as a student. And so it's like, okay, it doesn't matter that you haven't ridden this track before. Like, off you go, go and coach, figure it out. And it's just really plays testimony to how good the training is, that I can take those skills to this day and figure out tracks like Phillip Island or Sydney Motorsports Park, or, new tracks that I haven't been to in the States, and get up to speed as quickly as possible. Right.
110%. So with saying all that, you being a coaching with California Superbike School all these years, and also being a competitor racer too, right? So you got certain satisfaction of being in competition as yourself. Do you get that same satisfaction or more out of coaching students as you did racing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't keep doing it for 20 plus years if there wasn't that satisfaction. And I think that's the biggest thing that the coaches in general get from coaching with the school is like, yeah, for sure, it's awesome to get to ride tracks like, Phillip Island and Barber Motorsports Park and Laguna Seca and all these places that I get to go around the world. For sure, that's an incredible perk. For sure, all the people I get to meet is amazing as well. But the biggest thing that keeps the coaches coming back for more is that we get to translate those skills and see other people improve. Regular people, racers, like, moms, dads, grandpas, like whoever the students are, they come to the school, and it's our job and our passion to translate those skills and watch them improve. So I'll be behind students going like, come on, man, like we've been working so hard on getting to the apex, like look into the turn. And I'll be behind them and I'll see their head turn. I'm like, come on. And they'll get right to the apex and I'm like, yes. And I get so stoked. And then I come in and like, yeah, you did it. And they're beaming and they're stoked and their riding is improved. And, I've had people send me messages saying like, you know what, Misty, I was on the street and I was running wide in the corner and I was about to panic. And I heard your voice in my head saying, look where you want to go, relax on the bars, don't chop the gas. And you know what? He's like, I've had multiple comments like this, your coaching and what we learned, may have just literally saved my life, or made them better in racing, or, helped them win a championship, or it's incredible to pass that on to students, friends, people, and see other people improve. And that's like absolutely the life-giving aspect of the job, right? Is we get a lot of joy from that.
Paying it forward, seeing somebody progress and that smile and that energy, and it's just the emotions. So I got invited by Azra and Daytona National Speedway to do the announcements with my buddy Kenny at the Club of Racing Championships in October. And man, I was so nervous going into it. And then, just once it went off, and then finally my point is seeing my friends come off the track, going into a Mobile One victory lane, seeing their eyes this big and feeling that energy, and that it was like the greatest thing ever. It was like this warmth. It's hard to put into words, the expressions and the emotions you feel, right? And I know it's the same
Exactly.
with you coaching. You see that smile and see them improve, and then those text messages, and then the next time they come, you see the big improvement they made, and you're like, okay, you got that down. Now we need to work on this, right?
Right.
Let's do this, and improve it even further. It's just absolutely amazing. A good buddy of mine is Tony Sharpless. Do you know who she is?
Oh, yes, I do know Tony. I got to meet. So this is a cool story because this ties in my family now, because I know you were going to ask about this. So I have two kids. I have a son who's 16 now and a daughter who's 14. And I taught my son at age 4 to ride a little PW50. And I mean, the kid is a machine. He can ride, dirt bike, flat track, trials, mountain bikes, small bikes, big bikes. He's an incredible rider. And one year we were racing minis, and it was the first year FIM Mini GP came to Canada. And we totally weren't intending to race the series, but Tony shows up They have some little Ovalis there. We get to rent one from her. Her and I start talking. And next thing you know, I'm in Ontario and traveling around Canada with my son racing the mini GP series. And yeah, she's freaking awesome. I just took my son to Spain earlier this year to go do some other mini racing and riding over there. There's a young Canadian kid named Ethan Reardon, who just made absolute history, becoming the highest finishing Canadian, actually the only Canadian kid to make the super final at the FIM Worlds. His family is over there training in Spain, and boy, do they train. They train in Spain, let me tell you that. So you think you train here? There is nothing quite like this kid's training schedule now. And I'm talking like 7 days a week, every day, this many hours. It's 40 degrees Celsius, hot as balls. And the coaches are making the kids do push-ups on the, side of the track if they, don't do something right. They're bashing bars. They're falling. They're getting back up again. I mean, the training is insane. So just all these cool. Anyway, that was a total tangent because it's. Anyway, yes, I do know Tony.
It's good. It's all part of the beautiful journey, and you're right. It's like, I get asked the question, why do I think that we're not successful over there in Europe? And I'm like, us as Americans, we're grassroots, flat track, production racing. I feel like we don't have the structure, obviously, that Spain and Italy and Europe has. If we had that same structure here in America, yeah, it would be easier for us to go out there and do that. America's just so big, and tracks are so far spread out versus the UK. Everything's 6 hours away. You go to your local kart track for $20 a day and ride from sun up to sundown and do all these drills. And
yeah,
it's
a
intense.
Lifestyle. It's a lifestyle in Europe. That's what
keyword.
It is. I mean,
lifestyle, not here.
Yeah.
Lifestyle here is, again, America. It's not football. It's handball. The real football is soccer, but it's American football, baseball, basketball, blah, 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 right? Whatever. Yeah. But imagine if motorcycle was televised like that here in America, it would be a lot bigger to where it is. But yeah, you're right. The biggest advice I give to especially the families with 8-9-year-olds that want to make it in Europe, I'm like, sell all your shit and move to Europe. All of it, all your houses, everything. Buy a house, go out there, and there you go. That's basically the best way to do it if you're going to do it. So 110%. And another buddy of mine in Canada, Lewis Butry, his son races Jack, which is an absolute legend on two wheels. He says we rode Czars in October where Jessica puts on a fantastic program.
Cool. Very cool.
See, fans all around the world, Misty.
All around, so cool.
All around the world. So Let's go. Yeah. So, Tony and her whole program out there in Minnie in Canada, it's amazing. Again, it's the future legends of the sport getting into it, coming up, and
absolutely. And that's the key too, is just starting young. I mean, I was 24 by the time I ever got on a motorcycle. So, I'm very thankful that I got to the level that I was able to get to, but also I was 30 years old trying to race against, 18, 20, 22-year-olds and who had been riding since they were, 3-4 years old. And I see my son now and his abilities. And I'm looking at him going like, you have 12 years of riding experience on all manner of motorcycles. And he's 16 years old, right? I mean, there's so many things that he learns, both my kids, from operating a motor vehicle at a young age, from understanding what goes into, having to put those techniques together. And it just really sets the stage, I think, for becoming an exceptional rider and a very competitive racer when you start at a young age. I mean, these kids are incredible.
They are, and one question I have for you is I remember when my wife told me she was pregnant and I was like, we're having a boy. My dad was like, no, you're having a girl. I'm like, We're having a boy. He's going to be a MotoGP world champion. I don't care what you got. This is what we're having. As soon as we found out we're having a boy, I said, I told you. I screamed at the top. I said, yes, let's go. I told you. MotoGP. The doctor's like, is he okay? She's like, don't pay him no mind. Just let him do his thing, right? So obviously that was something I'm big on that I want to introduce to my son. So did you kind of have the same thing going on when you had kids? You was going to introduce them to motorcycles?
I always had the idea that that would happen, but definitely it was going to be whether they were interested or not. I was very, very careful with both my kids that it was never pushed, it was never forced. And my daughter was definitely not interested or ready to learn until she was more like 6 years old. And then, she spent a lot of time not racing, not like she didn't race for actually until she turned 13. She only just started racing recently. So I was just very, very careful that I wasn't pushing my own sports on the kids. And I made sure that they dabbled in every other sport possible. So, I mean, my kids did martial arts and gymnastics and parkour and swimming and, soccer, and just, I'm a proponent of multiple sports and cross training, and that, even if you're going to become a motorcycle racer and that's your thing, that other sports can assist in you becoming a better version of your athletic self. I do a ton of martial arts, and I hugely credit martial arts and my ability to break fall and my gymnastics career as a young kid as one of the reasons why I wasn't more injured in a lot of my crashes, because, there's an aerial sense of where I am, and it's like, oh, tuck and roll. Like, I know where the ground is. And there's just, I think, a different sense when you have a well-rounded sports and athletic background, to be able to manage something like motorcycle racing even better. So, yeah, I mean, they individually chose how much involvement they wanted in motorcycles, and if it was up to my son, and if we had the money, he'd be out there racing Moto America right now. I mean, he's a little bit frustrated by it because some of his friends that he has raced against getting those opportunities, and it's a tricky field to get into. Even with all my connections, we still can't afford to get him racing the way I would love to be able to support him. And that's a really tricky thing to explain to a 16-year-old kid, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. It's back in the heyday, the golden days of racing, back when you was 06, 07, 08, before the economy hit, there was massive money in this sport. There was people making a living club racing. There was manufacturers, all full factory teams. Now it's everybody's paying for a ride. It's a completely different world. And seeing the way the sport has progressed, Moto America is doing a great job to bring it back to where it is now, right? Holly, love it. I just wish that they had a more feasible entry class into road racing besides the entry class they have now, which is the Talent Cup. And the only reason why I say that is it's a great bike. The Kramer MX 350 or whatever it is, it's a beautiful machine. I just feel like, for a mom and dad of the combined income of $100,000 or less a year can't afford a $30,000 entry level motorcycle, much less the spares or a backup bike, plus the travel cost and the Moto America entry fees, and you're 150 grand into a season entry level. It's like, that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother subject. So yeah, it's absolutely. So which brings me, you talked about, you sent me that video and we talked about your son, you chasing your son at the ridge. Tell us about that experience, being out there chasing your boy at the ridge. And
wild.
well, and again, that goes back to the beginning of the podcast. I mean, he was talking with, hey, my mom stays up to 4 o'clock in the morning, make sure I come home safe. So all that, again, the mental side of you being a mother, seeing your son out there at the speeds for the same love, the same passion. Talk us through the emotional roller coaster that brought to you. Right? She's like, let me stretch on this.
Well, because it's been a big roller coaster. And I think one part that needs to be mentioned that I think is very important in my journey, and this will be in one of my books as well, is all about being a moto mom and what that's like. And way back in my early part of the career, I have a degree in child and youth care. And so originally, before I even got into motorcycles, I was meant to work with children and youth. And then my life took a total different direction, started racing, coaching, etc. And there was this beautiful full circle moment when Keith Code called me and said, there's this kid in Portland, in the Portland area. He's a motorcycle phenom. His name's Peter Lenz. He was 8 years old at the
Yep.
time.
I know exactly what you're
And
talking about. Yep.
yeah, and they said, would you go down and be his coach? And so I did, and met Peter, went down, worked with him from 8 to 13. I was very much involved in Peter's life growing up as his riding coach, as one of his riding coaches. With the school, he came to the SuperBike school. I'm dear friends with his dad to this day. And the end result of that was very sad outcome. At 13, he was killed in a motorcycle race.
At VIR.
It was at Indianapolis,
Oh,
actually.
yes, that's
Peter.
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
there was
yes, yes,
another
yes.
boy,
That's right.
Toriano, who was
Yes,
killed
yes.
at
I got them
VIR.
mixed up. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, right.
So there's a few tragedies
Yeah.
in this sport,
Beautiful
unfortunately.
game. Yes.
Beautiful. And so that played extremely heavy on me, obviously. And when he died, my son had just been born. So my son was just over a year when that happened. And it rattled me to the core. It was like, I don't want to teach kids. I can't do this. I don't know if my kid will ever be able to ride a motorcycle. I don't know if I can handle this. The devastation that I felt. I mean, Peter was as close to a son that I could have had without my own kids. And it was absolutely heartbreaking. And I have a special tattoo here for him. And it has been at the back of my mind, the front of my mind a lot of times, ever since that day. And so it becomes an even harder question to answer when people say, how can you let your own kids ride and race? And I question it all the time. How do I do that? How do I work through that? What if something happened to him while he's on the track? And I just have to resort to what I know to be true, is that, death happens in such random ways, and we don't particularly have a lot of control over it. And he could easily drown in the waves or die in a car crash or get some awful, disease or whatever manner. And so I just had to work through that and think, whatever my kids want to do with their lives is what I'm going to support 100%, whether it is dangerous job or not. I'm going to do my best to give them the most skills, the most training, the most available options that I can to keep them as safe as possible while still allowing them to go and live their dreams. Because Peter lit up on the racetrack, and Peter was a motorcycle racer. And you couldn't take that away from him without taking away who Peter was. And I feel the same with my own kids, whatever they want to do. And so it's been hard watching my son, grow up and race motorcycles and crash. And I've been to the hospital multiple times with him. I've been in the, operating room with him. I am always there with him, doing what I can and supporting to the best of my ability. And so that brings us to him riding at the Ridge. And, he's 16 and he's been asking for a real long time, when do I get to ride a big bike on a big track? And I said, when I can get you a SuperBike school day, because to me, it shaped so much of my life. I mean, I've taught the kids, so he's got a lot of the fundamentals, but I really wanted to put him in the capable hands of someone that I really trusted and run him through the SuperBike school. And so I was finally able to, during a series of 6 days where I was teaching, My husband brought both kids down, and my son got to do 2 days at the Superbike school. And, I picked one of my dear friends and a coach that I, has been coaching there as long as I have. He was there a year and a bit before me. Highly respected, James Toohey, and picked him to be the coach of my son. And he sort of went, okay, like, he's in your capable hands. And then I tried not to stress, and I tried to, not to interfere. And I didn't spend much time watching him or getting involved. And I was too busy. Like, I had my own students. And on the end of the second day, I was sitting there. I'd finished my coaching with my students. I had a camera on the bike ready to go. And I thought, okay, if the timing all lines up and if everything goes well, he's going to come by and I'm going to be able to follow him and film him. And sure enough, it was like freaking magic. Clear track, and I see him coming, and I'm all right, kid, game on, play, record. And I'm sitting there on the cutout, and he comes down, pulls out onto the straightaway, and I pull out after him, wah, wah, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm not catching him. What the heck? And I was like full pin down the straight watching the freaking speedo. And I'm going, okay, now we're going, like, my kid, my son, my 16-year-old is going on this BMW S1000, second time he's ever ridden this big bike, 160 miles an hour into turn freaking 1 at the ridge. And I am not freaking catching him. And I had to work real hard to then close the gap, catch him, and I just fell behind, and I got this beautiful video of us just railing through, and I was so proud, but also terrified. But it's one of those things, like, you just have to go. Like, my kid is getting this incredible experience, and he's riding well, and he's riding safe, and he's been taught the skills, and he's wearing all the gear, and there's an ambulance on site, and he's not, riding on the street like a lunatic like I did when I first started riding. He's not getting on a bike with zero skill sets at 16 and figuring it out. I mean, the kid's been riding for 14, 12 years. And yeah, it was a beautiful thing. So I've posted that video. It went a little bit crazy on Reddit. The title was like, Mom Chases Kid 160 miles an hour into turn 1. And yeah, very unique experience, and yeah, beaming with pride, because yeah, he's a good kid. He was a good student. The school took very good care of him. So it was a lovely moment.
Beautiful journey. Proud mom moment for sure. Something you'll never forget.
Definitely
Absolutely never forget, right? I wish I had the option with my son, when, of course, I didn't force it upon him when he was born. He had a little PW50. I bought him a TTR 50. I was like, what's with the motorcycle? I'm like, he's like, he's not even here yet. I was like, oh, but I'm ready, right? He loves going to Moto America. He's got a lot of friends there. Matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, I show up and Rossi's not with me. The first thing people say is, where's Rossi at? And I'm like, what am I, chopped liver over here? Right. But he loves to ride little 50s around with all the kids, and loves, dude, him and Kayla are really good friends, and Yandel Mendia, and just basically everybody. Right. But here at home, it's different. He's got a brand new dirt bike. He's ridden 3 times, and I bought it for him last year for Christmas. And we're saying that, Misty, I'm a big advocate. Plug real quick. If anybody's interested in buying anything, keep it in the industry. Don't order off of Temu, Amazon, Target, none of that. Order it from our local dealerships, or hit me up or Misty up. There's plenty of us that know everybody in the industry. Anything you want or need, we can get it for you. Keep it within. So with saying that, I could have bought the same dirt bike literally 10 minutes down the street. I don't know none of them guys at all, right? But I'd rather drive 6 hours to Pennsylvania and support my buddy Carnes Performance in Pennsylvania and buy it from him in his dealership, right, to support my friends in the industry. And it's a huge deal. It really is. So just quick plug. If you need anything, stick in the industry. Don't go anywhere else. So yeah. And it's funny because he'll go out there, he'll sit on it, and he'll look at me. He's like, I'm just not ready. Cool. No problem. I'm gonna ride it. You go there and play PlayStation, but I'm gonna go ride it, right? Let's go. But then the other day, he come up to me, he's like, I'm ready, Dad. Let's go ride this dirt bike. I was like,
cool.
Let's go, right? It was 20 minutes. but it was a magical 20 minutes. And that smile he put on his face, he'd come back. He's like, yep, I'm good. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to save it for a couple of days and we'll get back to it. Perfect. Let's go. But it's nothing that I've ever forced upon him, Misty, even though it's been so hard on me not to, right?
Mhm.
Because I think as a parents, we want to have that, whatever we're passionate about, whether it's coloring, drawing, guitars, whatever it is, we want to our sons or daughters to have that same type of passion. It might not be for the same sport or love, but just to have a passion for something, which is super
Yep.
important. I feel like if everybody in this world had a passion for something like we do for motorcycles or soccer or whatever it is, the world would be a lot happier place than what it is now.
Agreed.
I find too many people and they come up to me and I work with one girl. I worked with her for 8 years and she's like, I just don't get it. And I was like, get what? She's like, how are you so passionate about this motorcycle thing? Like, that's all you talk about, and this and that, and your podcast this, and you go to all these races. And she's like, I wish I had that just for anything, whether it was cooking or something. I just have no passion. I was like, why not?
Right.
What do you really like to do? She's like, I don't really know. I was like, you need to figure that out, right? And have a
Yep.
passion for something. So yeah, I do. But again, your whole career has been absolutely amazing. All the elements you've brought to the game. You're an absolute legend, an asset, a true ambassador of this sport.
Thank you.
110%. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing what you're doing. Thank you for continuing doing what you're doing, for teaching the youth and teaching everybody that comes in. Because one thing that I found out too, Misty, and I'm sure you've run across this, you got people that come in, it's hard for them to leave their egos outside. They come in thinking they're Valentino Rossi, this and that, and then they just don't process everything you're trying to tell them because they know it all. And then you never see them again. And then you have those people that come in that they're like, okay, I'm a sponge. I want to take it all in. I really don't know nothing about it, or maybe they do know something about it. And you see that progression, and it makes you happy. It makes them happy. And next thing you know, they're club racing, and they're winning. And you're like, I told you, let's go. Right.
Right.
So, yeah. So, which brings me.
Yes.
The tattoo. We got to talk about that tattoo right there. Yeah. So tell us what it is. And do you have any more?
Yes, I have Forever 45 for Peter. I have this, which is a Unilome. It's just kind of like the story of life. I don't know if you can sort of see that. I have this, which is one I got when I was 18 years old. So that is a different side of Misty that you might ask questions about later. And then this one was inspired. I was in India earlier this year, and with a bunch of California Superbike school coaches, and we had ridden Madras International Raceway, and we were all sitting around enjoying breakfast one morning and coffee in this beautiful area, and the birds are chirping, and one of the coaches just looked around and he said, "Que buena vida," what a beautiful life we have. And it just meant so much in that moment that, like, yeah, what a beautiful life we have. Like, I get to travel, I get to coach, I get to ride motorcycles. And I just thought in that moment, I'm going to get that tattoo. And I didn't know that he had one. He said, "Oh, check it out. I have that tattoo." And he had it written on his collarbone. And I said, I was just going to say, like, when you said Que Buena Vida, I was going to get that on my collarbone, and he had the same story. He put it on his collarbone where he had broken it, and then there's a little stylized motorcycle that I made, and mine's very different than his, different font, different layout, etc. But it was just this sort of very special moment where we were all bonded by motorcycles, we were all bonded by the lifestyle and the friends, and it's just a moment that I'll never forget. And even cooler than that, the person that did this, his name is Jake Hayes, and he's a phenomenal motorcycle rider and former motorcycle racer who I coached when he was super tiny. And he is now an incredible tattoo artist. So if you want one, he did this one, and I got a whole list of other ones I'm going to get him to do again. So there's your plug, Jake. Now you owe me more tattoos. Just kidding.
That's it. Yeah. The next one's free on the house, Jake. Let's go. Right. Yeah. Text me how to spell that, because that'll be the name of this episode.
Cool. Oh,
Sure.
what, this?
Yes.
Okay, Buena Vida.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I will.
Text it to me because I will put
Amazing.
it in it like that. I think that what a title for this episode. What a beautiful
Amazing.
life.
Perfect.
Absolutely. It's
So
perfect.
true.
That is perfect for this. Yes, absolutely. Listen, we're an hour and 15 minutes in this already. It goes by
Yep.
super quick, right? Um,
I know I kicked my family out of this place, so they might be waltzing back in shortly. So
right. They're
let's
like, are you
just be
done yet,
prepared.
Mom? We're getting hot. Hey, so real quick, you're in Australia. Have you had a proper Barbie yet?
No, I haven't had a proper Barbie yet. We need to do that. I've eaten a lot of meat pies though. Holy cow. They're
What's your
so
favorite?
good.
What, what's your favorite thing you've
Just
had out there?
Oh, well, probably the meat pies. I
Meat
mean, they're
pies.
incredible. Yeah. And you just don't get them like you do here. And they just pick them up and eat them. Like, it's bizarre.
So
Very cool.
it's basically like a chicken pot pie with just meats and stuff in it. It's basically kind of what
It's
it is.
like typically they're like the traditional is like minced beef, like
Okay. Yeah.
beef pie, like minced in onions and such, but all minced in, and it's just like, yeah, like a little pie. And then they have curry pies and chicken pies and all sorts of different ones, but the regular just meat pie is what you got to get.
The meat pie.
Fire.
Let's go. I love it. She said fire. I love it. Yeah. So that's what's for dinner tonight? Meat pies?
Probably we just go to the pie shop and just get pies.
I love it. I love it.
Super
So,
easy.
you being out there in Australia and all the circuits you've raced around the world, what is your favorite race circuit you've ever been to?
I love this. This question is so funny. It's my favorite. I mean, I there's everyone is so special for different reasons. I mean, like Phillip Island is just mind blowing and incredible and beautiful, and Laguna is Laguna Seca, and Barber is incredible because it's Barber, and so those are definitely some of my favorites. But I think my all time favorite is Mid Ohio. For some reason, I just love that track. That was where I did get my best finish and would have gotten an even better finish if I hadn't crashed. And the reason I crashed is because Josh Hayes freaking lapped me, and we were almost done and he lapped me, and I just got so stunned, like, oh my God, Jake or Josh just passed me. What the hell? Don't crash. And then and I was just mortified that I crashed. But because it was the very end of the race stopped and I still got a reasonable finish out of it. But I had been in the top 20, my first top 20 ever, and then didn't quite get to finish that way. So anyway, and there's a cool story about Josh as well, because he's a kick-ass human. And he helped me one day at VIR when I was struggling to, like, I wasn't going to qualify, and my times were just poor, and I was really struggling, and we were just in open practice, and he went flying by me, and for whatever reason, he just tapped the back of his bike and said, "Follow me," and he led me for an entire lap, pointed out a few things, and I was just in absolute awe. And those few things helped me then qualify. And I went up and asked him afterwards, why did you do that for me? Like, you gave up a lap of your riding to help me, when some people would like almost try to
Never
scare
done
me
it.
off the track. And he said, I know that you're better than that, and you were just struggling to put a few places together. And I will never forget that. So thank you. And yeah, good shit right there.
Big shout out to Josh Hayes. If you guys missed it, I just had the legend Josh Hayes on the podcast. Please go back and watch it. It was, listen, Misty, when I had Josh on and I told him live on the podcast, I said, I feel like I finally made it in the podcast game having Josh Hayes on. I've been such a huge fan of Josh for such a long time. Not only that, it's just the human being he is, and his love of the sport and what he does for everybody in the paddock. And he's 50 and he's still racing and he's the second most winning. It's like the list goes on, and just how humble of a human he is. If we had more Josh Hayeses around the world, think about it, right? It's amazing. Josh is definitely probably the greatest ambassador to our sport as far as America is concerned. Hands down, my vote, 100%. He is an amazing human being. So listen, Misty, I want to get into the second part of the podcast where we get to pick your brain and we get to know Misty away from all the beautiful racing and the coaching and all this. And we're going to talk about, but before we transition to that, besides the book 2026, Misty, what's happening in 2026. How can people, of course, at the end, I'm going to let you give all your shout outs, but if people want to,
Yeah.
you specifically as a coach, how do they get in touch with you to do that?
MistiHurst.com is, I'm just going to roll out my brand new website shortly here. So it's Misty with an I, MistiHurst.com. You'll find information there. It'll direct you first to Kickstarter because I need to get that one checked off
Let's
first.
go. Yeah.
Misty Hurst Racing. Just Google the name and a bunch of my socials will come up, as well as a bunch of other stuff. 2026, I'll be coaching a bunch in the States. We're going back to Mid-Ohio. It's been so many years and I'm so stoked. We've got a couple other tracks that the school is running this year. And of course, I'll be at my favorites, the Ridge and Barber for sure. So hope to see you there. And then in between all that, I'll just be trying to write and get the rest of the books out and do my best to be the best mom that I can be. Well, I'm still privileged to have my kids around and it's a tough age, but when there's options to do something with them, I'm going to take them. And that's the main goal, is just be a good mom and go from there. So
110%. My son is my everything. I say all people know that. People that know me, even people that listen to this podcast, they know my son is my mini me. I named him Hayden Rossi after Nikki Hayden and Valentino Rossi. He is, I dedicate 99.9% of my time to
right.
And I'm surprised he ain't even busted in here, because usually every podcast will bust in here and say, hey, what's going on? And talk to me about whatever video game he's playing now, or V-Bucks, or whatever he's got going on. Yeah. But anyway, so I want to start off by saying, tell us something we do not know about Misty Hurst.
Well, this is from a role-playing game called Vampire the Masquerade that I used to play when I was, a young, impressionable girl at 16, 15, 16 kind of thing. And I attempted the whole goth persona, which I didn't pull off very well, but it was a huge growing part of my life, and some very special people and lifelong friends from that experience. So that's probably the most unique. And I had a radio show back then at that sort of same age as well, called Laced in Darkness. And a lot of gothic industrial music, vampires, paranormal events, poetry, readings. I mean, it was pretty sort of, underground gothy. And I really dig that kind of music still to this day. So lots of concerts and such with that lifestyle. I still have my leather jacket with a painted guy on the back.
I love it. Yeah. My wife, she's big into the same thing, all the gothic, she don't wear all that black, but the true crimes and the vampires and the diaries. I sit down and I watch them. I'm interested in a lot of that stuff too as well. So, yeah. As far as music goes, I mean, listen to everything. Frank Sinatra to rap to country to reggae. It just depends on the mood that I'm in to right. Listen. But going back to what I was going to say real quick is, man, being a parent, it's like the best thing that ever happens to us in our lifetime. Embracing everything, learning to grow together as humans. I remember one day me and my son we got in this big argument. It was over stupid stuff and I'm like, dude, I'm thinking most of myself, like, how can I explain this to a 7-year-old to get him to understand where I'm coming from? I said, look, anything you buy in life, whether it's a new car, a motorcycle, a toy, a Lego, whatever it is, what does it come with? He said, he thought about it for a second. He says, a manual. I said, exactly. I said, guess what didn't come with a manual? He thought about it. He's like, what? I said, you didn't come with no manual. There's no book saying if this happens, this is what I got to do to correct it or under that. So we grow together. We're learning together. We're growing together. Right. And that's a beautiful thing. So it's been probably the most satisfying, not probably the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my life is having that relationship with my son and being hands-on, all in, no matter, even if I don't agree with his certain likes, I'm all in anyway, right? Just to be that supportive parent, to give him
Right
that
on.
confidence, to whatever he's got going on, just be that positive energy all the time. Right. It's important. And the main reason I'm like that, because when I grew up, my dad was a fighter pilot in the Navy, Top Gun, aircraft, jets off the aircraft, but he was gone 8, 9 months out of the year. So I didn't even know my own dad. And we didn't even have a relationship until I was 20 years old. And I moved to Phoenix, go to MMI. Well, 1999. Then he would come out there and see me on his layovers. And then when I moved back to Virginia, we started riding together. And then we got the best relationship to this day that I wish we had back then. So when I had my kid, I was like, I'm hands on. I don't care if he wants to be a ballerina, a basketball star, a golfer, whatever it is, I'm all in, hands down.
Right on.
Right. So yeah, I just had to throw that in there real quick because being a parent goes back to saying what you were saying, 16 years old, 160 miles an hour. Like I can't even catch him. What? Yeah. Again, it's that whole beautiful journey. And it's just, you're in a unique position because your son, your daughter share that same love and that same passion where, a lot of people don't get that. Like I don't have that same love and same passion with my son right now because he's whatever doing what he's doing, but you have that. And it's such a unique, beautiful journey. And it's something that obviously you're never going to forget. But when they have kids and they're sitting and we're gone, they're going to sit back and say, what a beautiful journey. What a beautiful life because of those two wheels and the support. That's it. Let's go. Right. So let me ask you this. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Oh, I'm definitely a dog person. Cats are psycho. I used to have some really cool cats. I had the best cat ever growing, like when I was in university. And then, I switched to dog person because cats are way too unpredictable and psycho.
Agreed. I'm a dog person too. Well, that's hilarious. He's like, cats are psycho. Yeah,
They are. Yeah.
This is a fact. A fact. So, listen.
Right.
Go ahead, Misty. Sorry.
Oh no, that's it. Oh, I think my family's coming home. So, there may be some extra noise, and they'll go, "You're still talking."
Yeah, we're still at it. Yeah, it's okay. They can talk away. Not a problem. Dream bike, Misty. What would be your dream bike? I mean, you've raced and ridden many motorcycles. If you could pick one motorcycle, what would it be?
I'm just lucky enough to be able to ride a whole bunch when I want. And to me, it's anything with two wheels, and I will jump on it and ride it. And I'm privileged to be able to ride as many as possible. So
I love it. Are you a coffee drinker?
Definitely, like multiple cups in the morning. And then I have to be careful because I don't need that extra.
I like coffee too, but my wife, she's a coffee head where it's so much so where it's, we go to bed early because we get up really early. I got to be at work at 6 a.m., but it's 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what are you doing making a cup of coffee? She's like, I needed to go to sleep. I was like, man, I'd be up for about 4 hours if I drink a cup of coffee at 9 o'clock at night right now. But yeah, she's a coffee drinker, 110%. Right. My favorite's the French press. I love a French press coffee. It's like the best. What's your worst habit?
Geez. Well, it depends on who you ask, probably. Talking too much, maybe. Probably one of them, or just being too excited to share stories sometimes. Oh yeah, I want to tell you this because I'm super excited. And something I'm really working on is trying to be better at asking the questions and not jumping in all the time. But it's only because I'm super excited.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, me too. I get my worst habit would be procrastination sometimes.
I do that as well.
I'm like, dude, I got to do laundry today. I'm looking at my pile of laundry. I'm like, because I do my own laundry. My wife don't do my laundry. I do it myself because I wash everything cold and I hang dry a lot of my stuff where she's all hot dry. And I'm like, nah, but anyway, I procrastinate on that so much so to where I'm like a day and a half and that's all I do is laundry. So
right.
That's me for sure. 110%. So me and you're out. We're at a karaoke club. What's our go-to? What are we singing tonight at karaoke, Misty?
You're going to have to work very hard to convince me to sing at karaoke, because that's the one thing I will do literally anything, but nobody wants to hear me actually sing. So it takes a lot to get me up to do that. So I do have lots of 80s song lyrics that are firmly planted into my head, but no, it takes a lot to get me to stand up in front and actually use I'll dance, I'll be on the speakers, I'll do all of that stuff, but nobody wants to hear me actually sing.
Boo. Well, if
I
it was
know.
a song, if it was a song, what
Oh
song would you
gosh.
sing?
I don't know. See, I don't have karaoke songs in my head. I do sing along to all songs that I like. But even my kids have told me one day, like, Mom, stop singing. And just like, okay, fine, I won't sing.
I tell you what, we'll do Journey, Don't Stop Believing. That's easy enough.
Okay.
That's a great song, right? We'll do
I do
that.
know
It's
that
good.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll go out and I'll get on the mic and sing karaoke. It's a lot of fun. I see that stuff as being a challenge to myself, being uncomfortable in uncomfortable situations, right? Part of that's also of me growing up as a kid, moving constantly, making friends, and then having to leave to move to a different state and being here a year and leaving and going to another state. That's kind of made me my personality, who I am, outgoing, talkative, like whatever. But yeah, we'll have to do that one day when we get together. I'm gonna come out to California Superbike School. I'm bringing a karaoke machine. Matter of fact, I'm getting
Oh, right.
everybody to sing. We're all
Oh
gonna sing
boy.
karaoke. We're gonna have a proper mega really good time for
Proper
sure.
mega really good
That's it.
time.
Let's go.
Perfect. Perfect.
Um,
Sounds good. We'll make it
audio
happen.
books. We will. I listen to a lot of audio books. Currently, I just started The Art of Racing in the Rain. I recently just lost my dog Charlie 2 weeks ago.
Hmm.
And she's my fourth one, obviously, over my lifetime, that is at the Rainbow Bridge. And I've waited a long time to watch this movie. And after she had passed, I was like, I think now's a good time for me to listen to this audiobook. So I just started it. Is there anything you're currently listening to or reading that you could recommend to anybody?
Um,
Besides
actually,
your book,
yeah. Besides
yeah,
mine,
Life in the Fast Lane. Let's go.
that one for sure. But no, actually, I just read one fascinating one by a fellow Superbike school coach here in Australia. It's called "Be the Voice." It's by George Lacey. I have to figure out how to pronounce his last name. I can put it in the chat for you a little bit later on, or you can add that. And then I recommended to him one of my favorite books from when I was growing up in my whole early goth stage, and just my young impressionable stage. And it's called Armor by John Stakely. It's sort of a cult classic. And it's about it's actually similar, reminded me of what I read from George's about a mindset and sort of how you close off other aspects of yourself to get the job done. It's a interesting fictional story of interstellar war. It's very different, but it's very cool. And then just other regular stuff like, the let them theory, and, don't take things so personally, and, be super motivated and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, I love reading and listening, to open up your mind, to take all this information in, to just to learn new things and get different experiences, instead of being so single vision. But
Mhm.
motorcycle racing too is such a selfless sport, right? Yes, it is a team sport, but it's also a selfless sport, meaning that it consumes us so much. That's all we think about. That's all we gravitate to. We don't care if the world's getting ready to end in 30 minutes. You're like, that's cool. I got to throw this Owens rear shotgun on the back real quick. And
Right.
you're like, I ain't worried about that. Right. Like, let's go. Again, it's all part of that beautiful journey.
Right.
Let me ask
Take
you this.
one of
If,
them.
if you had one superpower, what would the superpower be? Mine would be
Oh,
teleportation.
That is cool. I mean, I think I would just love to be able to fly. That would be awesome. I've done some parasailing and hang gliding, which would be cool. But then there was also a show where that like the person could stop time and then they like do other things and fix other stuff. So I think that would be kind of cool. Like, oh, something's gonna happen. Just stop time. Let's rearrange things a little bit. Let's get the outcome we want. I don't know. That would be kind of cool as well.
It
But
would
also
be.
just being the fastest motorcycle racer in the entire world, I think would be a pretty darn good superpower. So I would like to know what that's like to be the top of the top and to be in their perspective. Like, how do they go that much faster than what I've ever experienced?
Yeah, it's insane because again, I said this earlier when we watch Messi with the soccer ball or Josh Hayes out there on the bike or Valentino Rossi, whoever it is, you're like, dude, it looks so easy. It's not easy at all. There's so much that
Right.
goes into it, and then you appreciate it more of what they're doing in this speed. It's yeah, for sure.
Cool. Very cool.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this: what advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Um, don't let so many things affect you as much as you do. Maybe don't take the other people's emotions, other people's experiences of life as serious as I tend to. Just you can't control everything. You can't change maybe how someone feels, and so don't take that on as your own personal um, issue, I guess. And that's a hard lesson, I think, to learn sometimes. I can take things very personally, and I think it prevents me from experiencing things in a lighter manner sometimes.
I I'm definitely guilty of that. I think the hardest thing for me, and I'm still learning to do it, is to control what I control and let everything else around me that I can't control just let it be what it is and just focus on what I need to do to make it better for me and my family. Right? It's
Right.
letting go of the uncontrollable. Is I guess because it's that fear factor kind of too in a way, right? If that what ifs BS,
Right.
right? But it's a learning experience, just like being a mom and a dad. It's all a learning, and if you don't keep it here and keep reminding yourself daily, it kind of goes in the back of your mind. You kind of forget it, and you get back in that old ways again, right? So it's
Hmm.
a constant struggle here and a lot of that, my son's been teaching me so much about just life that I'd have never got if he wasn't here. So it's yeah, 110%. Are you guys, currently binge watching? I know earlier you said you guys didn't watch a whole lot of TV, but there's something maybe in the future you guys are gonna watch.
Not really. I mean, I like shows like my daughter's keen on the Stranger Things coming up again. I've what was I watching? Lincoln Lawyer. I think we're kind of hoping that that comes back. But typically, I struggle even to just watch TV in general. It has to be the right moment. Otherwise, I'm just too like, oh, got to do this, got to do that. What else is going on? I don't really sit still. So my kids will even say that, like, "Oh, mom's sitting down watching TV. That's weird."
Are
Doesn't
you
happen
okay,
very
mom?
often.
Do you got a fever? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
exactly. That's
Uh,
usually what it is. I'm like dead, like, "Oh, I'm so tired."
well, I mean, I don't blame you, especially with that beautiful background, the guys back there
I
parasailing right
know,
now in
right?
the background. I'm like, why are you talking to me? I'd be like, okay, I gotta go. I'm going back out here to the beach right now. Yeah, it's
I
it's
think that's what I'm being eyeballed over here. That like you're still on the
I
camera,
know.
so we do
All
need
right.
to get going.
All right.
But yeah,
I got you. We'll end this here in a second. Let me ask you this then. If you could travel back to any era of time, where would you travel back to?
oh, for sure, the '80s, the childhood upbringing. I mean, there's nothing like just running outside with your friends and being told to be back at dark, and nobody knew where you were, and you're climbing trees, and there's no technology, and it makes me sad to see what the kids have to, try to deal with, and myself as well. And I'm so thankful that I did grow up as an '80s kid and had the moments of just being a regular teen kicking a hacky sack around and cliff jumping and just being gone all day with nobody having any idea where you were. I really miss that aspect of life, I think. So if I could go back there, that would be the number one choice, I think.
It feels like times were much simpler back then, I remember my mom told me as long as I was home before that street light went off, I was good. But if I didn't come home
Right.
in the street and she had to holler at me, oh, that was my ass for sure. So I
Right.
made sure I was home 110%. And you're right. It was a different life back then than it is now.
Exactly.
It's too AIE or whatever
Yes.
you want to call it. But
Too
all right,
serene, yeah.
I know your family's pushing you to go out there on the beach, and I don't blame them because I'm in the snow. You get ready to go out there on the
Right.
beach. I'm
Look,
jealous.
how can you not want to go out there?
I'm not. So listen, Misty, let's definitely sit down and do a part 2 to this in the future. Me and you,
Perfect.
110%. So last questions, then we'll get to all the shout outs so you can go enjoy that beach and the good
Perfect.
Barbie and the meat pies you're going to eat later
Yep.
on. So
Hungry.
listen, money was no object for Misty. You could have your own Moto America team. What is it? Manufacturer motorcycle you're going to have? And who are the 2 current riders you're going to put on your bike or 2 your friends you'd put on the bike?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'd put my son and I'd put Kayla probably, and I would take the team and I would, bring in some of my favorite coaches and just fine tune things and travel and promote the sport, and also run a kids school where we could start them from a very young age and provide that kind of training opportunities. And yeah, I mean, if I had a magic wand, I'd help all the kids, get them there. But for sure, I'd put my son out there, get him riding and racing because he deserves that opportunity. He's a very talented rider, and it's unfortunate that I can't get him out there. So if anyone wants to put my kid out there, wants a 16-year-old racer, then he's willing. He's a phenomenal rider, and that would be an opportunity. And then it's been fascinating to watch Kayla, and I'm so proud of her for all of her accomplishments. What a phenomenal rider, a great representative. And I haven't met her in person, but I follow her and comment on stuff, and I hope she knows that I'm cheering real loud for her. Keep representing and just the style she rides with, and
it's amazing.
That would be my crew.
I'll tell you what, I'm good friends with her. So next year when I go to Daytona, if she ends up showing there, which I think she'll be there, I'll FaceTime you and you can meet Kayla and say hi and all that good stuff. Yeah, she's absolutely amazing. 110%. Well, listen, Misty, you don't understand what an honor it's been to sit down and have this conversation. This episode will be out everywhere, Spotify, all that, in about 30 minutes as soon as we get done.
Right on.
Yeah, it's quick. I'm going to let you give all the shout outs, Kickstarter for your new book. One question I do have real quick before I give my shout outs and I'll let you end the podcast with yours is, do you think California Superbike School maybe implement a kids program into their school too as well in the future?
Oh yeah, we've definitely had opportunities like that, and they're definitely open to those. I know they just ran a school in Taiwan where it was really focused on the younger kids and providing opportunities there. So yeah, absolutely. I know they're huge proponents and supporters of that, as well as supporting the book. So Keith Code wrote the foreword, which is super cool. They have donated the opportunity to win a SuperBike school day. So like I said, hop on Kickstarter. You can find it through mistihurst.com or any of my social media. Like I said, just Google my name and all that'll come up. Kickstarter, you can choose, a hardcover, you can choose an ebook, you can choose the rider support tier where you get to enter this special draw and maybe win. And then there's also a fun option where you could get a dual signed hardcover by both me and Keith. So if you're a fan of Keith Code and you want a signed copy, this is the only time this will ever happen. So jump on board for that. And then there's some higher level tiers as well, including an option for a private track day with me, if anyone wanted to do that. So like I said, 5 days left, get on it, because some of those opportunities won't be there after this ends, and definitely appreciate all of the support that I've been getting so far. The comments and like I said, the people coming out of the woodwork that I haven't heard from in a long time is so incredible. And like I said, the journey continues, and I'll be doing this as long as I can. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. And on that note, listen, it's been an absolute honor to sit down with Misti Hurst. Before I end this real quick, thank you to everybody that watches this podcast, that hits that like and that subscribe. If it wasn't for Misti and everybody coming on here, I would not be sitting here in this seat having these mega stories come out. So it's nothing but love to each and every single one of you guys and girls out there. If you had not had the opportunity, please go hit all the like and the subscribes and all that good stuff on all my social media platforms. Also, don't forget Misti's new book. It's out on Kickstarter. Go to MistiHurst.com. The book is called Life in the Fast Lane, Discovering the Art of Cornering. Thank you so much, Misti. It's been an absolute honor. I will text you later on here in about an hour or whatever with the Spotify, links and all that. Don't forget to text me the spelling of that so I can incorporate it into the name of this podcast. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let Misti go so she go out there on that beautiful beach. I'm gonna go out here and be cold out here in the snow. And I think we just lost her. I think we just lost Misti. But anyway, thank you guys and girls for tuning in on this. This has been an absolute proper mega podcast tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the absolute legend, Misti Hurst. Let's go. And on that note, I don't know if she's going to stop back in here in a minute. Maybe she might pop back in, having internet troubles. We'll see. We'll just give her a second. But again, Lewis, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. This is for you, Lewis, and everybody out there. I really mean it when I say I love each and every single one of you. But you guys and girls know that because I say it all the time. Lewis, thanks for getting all these amazing people on your podcast. Chris, listen, if it wasn't for you and everybody coming on here, I wouldn't be able to do this. So it's because of each and every single one of you I'm able to do this. So it's nothing but love to each and every single one of you. And I guess we had lost Misti, but thank you guys and girls so much. 2025 has been an absolutely proper mega year for me, just like it's been proper mega for each and every single one of you. And I got some podcasts coming up. This month is super busy, and I will see all my friends here. I think tomorrow, Sunday. I don't know. You'll see me. I popped up. The schedule will be out anyway. Listen, I'm going to get off here. I love each and every single one of you. See you next time.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.